This is the DTV Digest, the podcast that brings you news and reviews of films which didn't make it to the cinema. And now, here's your host, Mike Parkin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DTV Digest. I'm your host, Mike Parkin, and joining me tonight is Richard Hawes.
Hello, I'll be here for just a little bit.
And Stephen Lockridge.
Hello, I'll be here for the lot.
He'll be here for the lot. On tonight's show, we're going to kick off with the latest film to be released from Shudder called They Live in the Grey. Then we have Cold Vengeance, Control, When the Screaming Starts, and Witness Infection. Our short shot this week is No Disintegrations. And our DTV throwback is the John Cusack film, The Numbers Station. So without further ado, let's crack on. Our first film tonight then is They Live in the Grey. A social worker with clairvoyant powers soon realizes the parental abuse case she is working has supernatural overtones and may have to face her own fears, self-doubt, and abilities in order to save a young girl's life. Okay, latest film to be released from Shudder, the Shudder original being released through Acorn onto DVD. I did enjoy this. It's not scary at all, unfortunately. I wish there was something actually scary in it. And it is too long for its own good. But I have to admit, the last 30 minutes, it did step up a gear and actually give us something decent. The rest of it sort of wallows a little bit. But it's all very well produced as far as I can see, as well. You know, as far as I'm concerned, it was engaging. I just wish our main character actually did something for a lot of the running time. But anyway, shades of The Sixth Sense here, Steve.
Yeah. To be honest, I do agree with you. It's far too long. It's too meandering. But I thought the performances were great. I mean, especially there's like a scene about halfway through where her and her husband discuss what's going on with them and stuff like that. And I thought, you know, that was really well done. And the family, the other family, I thought was really well done. But it is just a bit too slow. And they could easily have cut it down, got it to 90 minutes, and I think it would have been a lot tighter and better film. But yeah, it's really well shot, really well done. You're right, it isn't scary. There's a couple of wincy bits in it, especially the one at the dinner table. That that got me. To be fair.
Oh, with the knife.
Yeah.
That was really good actually. I enjoyed that.
And like the very last bit as well. That was good. But yeah, it isn't scary, but it was decent. I was very surprised with the 18 rating, to be fair.
Where did that come from?
Yeah. I've seen a lot worse in, a lot of recent 15s and stuff like that. Well, yeah, it just needed to be tighter and shorter, I think.
Yeah. I totally agree. Rich, what did you make of They Live in the Grey?
I was a bit intimidated by or off-put by the 2-hour running time. But I did really like it, and I can see why it's so long, and that's because it's trying to fit so much in. It's trying to be several things all at once, and it does, as Steve says, because of that, it kind of meanders around and it's like a bit unfocused. On one side, it's the Sixth Sense was exactly what came to my mind. It is a very Sixth Sensey kind of story, horror, sort of ghosts and stuff like that. But then on the flip side of that, it's a character portrait. It's about dealing with grief. It's very, very it's heavy drama basically for a lot of it, in addition to her story, it's kind of the story of her relationship. So there's a kind of a scenes from a marriage kind of thing going on as well. And then you've got all the the investigation, the sort of casework that she's doing, which put me in mind, because I saw it recently, it put me in mind of Poltergeist. There's some similar kind of poltergeisty kind. So imagine the characters, instead of focusing on the family, the people who come in the movie Poltergeist and do the investigation in the house. It's a bit like that, or The Conjuring or something. But the thing with this one is it's a caseworker, and I like what they try to do is they're trying to deal with a supernatural situation in a sort of a realistic situation where nobody's going to take that seriously.
Absolutely.
So that itself causes problems. In addition to the sort of supernatural problem, they've got the real world, consequences of, if they tell them the truth, they're just think they're barking mad and stuff. So I quite like that. But the central, the other thing that's really interesting is it's an Asian American couple, which you don't see many. Even these days, you don't see a lot of mainstream film. Shang-Chi and whatever are very sort of, or Crazy Rich Asians. They're exceptions, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, and this is a fairly standard kind of genre film and drama. But so it's got all those different elements at play. So although everything in it is quite familiar, and there's it's even things like, I was thinking about the short film Kickstart My Heart that we watched at the Fighting Spirit Film Festival, which is again, it's about dealing with sort of a trauma kind of thing. And in this character, there's some psychological elements, but a lot of it's sort of real world. But she's having sort of hallucinations or visions or dreams that she's encountering, kind of stuff, and trying to work through things. And she's keeping it all bottled up inside. Would I have preferred it sort of picking one side or the other to sort of be on? I think the blend doesn't quite work. 2 hours is too much to try and do all this. I think if it had just been that sort of Sixth Sensey story, it wouldn't have been distinctive enough. I think if I had to pick one, I would have gone with sort of sidelining the supernatural, sort of the subplot, involving the family, sideline that and just really focus on her story and the husband, her and her husband and their grief, and because that's one of those things where it's a very formulaic story where they withhold all the information and you're getting little crumbs as you go along, and then before the sort of reveal, and then there's, you say it gets really exciting at the end. It's how the camera work kind of went crazy. Almost like a James Wan or something. The camera, the whole camera style changes when they go this sort of, it almost feels like we've got to do like a Hollywood twisty kind of conclusion to it, and it all got I didn't really like the camera work in that whole section, and I thought it was interesting what they were going for, but I did prefer the cinematography of the rest of the film, and that was I found that actually more jarring than, I know they were doing it as a stylistic thing to support the turn of events, but for me that was just a bit off-putting. I didn't really like that very much, but this really surprised me. It wasn't at all what I was expecting. And overall I was very impressed by it, especially the performance from the lead actress, Michelle Krusiak, and the guy playing, and Ken Kirby playing her husband as well. It's definitely, I think you've got to know what you're getting into, because, well, I don't know, actually, it is also because I didn't know what I was getting into, and I found it quite a pleasant surprise. So I think you could go either way. I think some people will be quite off-put by the drama, but I think if you sort of buy into that and you can get past the similarities to The Sixth Sense, which are way too which it's very, very similar to a large degree. Really,
I mean, the main thing obviously is the fact that she is inadvertently attracting these spirits to her through her abilities.
Yes, which is all kind of stuff we've seen play in various other things. So they're not doing anything novel.
Chiefly, not only The Sixth Sense, but there's a whole series called The Ghost Whisperer with Jennifer Love Hewitt, which is exactly this.
I've never watched that, actually.
Well, funny enough, that's kind of how the film ends.
Exactly. It kind of becomes that kind of her accepting her destiny-ish sort of thing. Yeah.
But so that is kind of very much like The Sixth Sense as well. In that, I think as Bruce Willis's character turns around to Haley Joel Osment and goes, "Have you ever asked them what they're there for?" And it's only then when he's able to help that girl who's murdered by her mother-in-law. Spoilers. Spoilers for an ancient film. Yes.
How did you feel about the way the plot? Because the way the film is put together, it hops to and fro time zones.
We got a worse one for that later on. But no, this one wasn't too bad for that, to be honest.
I think if you're paying attention, it was quite easy to follow because you're like, right, she's clearly in a different sort of position here.
Yeah,
and he's there when he wouldn't be there, and stuff like that. And you go, right, okay, I can see we're in a flashback situation now.
Yeah, believe me, Rich, we got another film later on which is even worse for jumping around. But anyway, yes, I did enjoy this, and I did enjoy the way it turned things on its head. I guess it gets to a certain point, and the funny thing is, our main character Claire is, she remains true to herself for most of the film, in that she is scared. She is scared of, she's suffering from, what happened with her son, and she's scared of this, of what's happening to her. She sees it as a curse. So even when, the mother of the girl turns around to her and goes, "Can you help us? We know about your abilities. Can you get in contact with this ghost and help us?" sort of thing. She's like, "No," and then eventually she says yes. But even then, it's like 2 or 3 days. Days pass. After she said, "Yeah, I'll help," and she's done fuck all.
There's a lot of reluctance, which is a bit.
Which is why that thing
it,
happens. There's a certain thing which is suddenly very proactive. Which I thought was, when you think about it, it goes, it's like, well, if nobody else is going to do something, I've got to do something, which and sort of spurs their interaction, which it's quite unique in that respect, I think. Okay, so scores on the doors, Steve.
I'll give it a 6.
I'm giving it a 7, and Rich.
I feel inclined to give it an 8. I think it's aiming, perhaps aiming to, biting off more than it can chew. But I admire the effort, and I think there's so much in here to enjoy and sink your teeth into. I really liked that.
Yeah, no problem at all. This is directed by Abel and Burley Vang.
Yeah, the Vang brothers.
The Vang brothers. They
Bedeviled was one of them.
And What Lies Below.
I think they produced that one rather than directing it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, they've done
interesting duo.
Hollywood Chaos, which I don't know much about that one.
Certainly, but again, a pair to keep an eye on. Okay, so that's a 6, a 7, and an 8 for They Live in the Grey, out on DVD, also on Shudder. Go check it out. Our next review is Cold Vengeance. 2 small-town couples find themselves caught up in a game of death at the hands of a vicious gang after they discover a mysterious box buried long ago. I alluded to this film, Steve, in our early review because, oh my God, this just jumps all over the place. It definitely has artistic pretensions, this one. And I did enjoy it. I did like this a lot. But at the same time, I think it's a missed opportunity in certain regards. There's a particular character in this, played by Kayla Mayer, who's the detective. And we see her early on, sort of ice blonde hair, very sort of steely eyes. And she has this brilliant introduction where she sort of pulls the car over on this sort of snowy field and is scanning the horizon. And there's no dialogue because she's on her own. But it is just a really brilliant introduction for this character. and the film wastes her completely. You know, she's playing
Right.
catch up throughout the whole thing.
To be honest, I felt like I was as well. I don't think I like this as much as you, to be honest. I just thought it was so disjointed, and I know people say, you know, like, show don't tell, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, Mark Kermode says it quite a lot and stuff like that. But with this, nothing's explained. It was just so frustrating because, like you say, there's something there, but nothing seems to connect to anything else, and nothing. There's hardly any dialogue. I think the only person who speaks is Simon Phillips. To be fair,
we'll come on to Simon in a minute. Yeah. So this is interesting as well. So because you know I knew nothing of this film going into it. I went into completely blind. So seeing like Paul Tanter's name as the producer, I was like, okay, this could be interesting. And then seeing that Simon Phillips was in it, I'm thinking, you know, it sets up a certain expectation, and the film is completely different to what you expect in that regard. You know, this is like the snowbound version of No Country for Old Men, basically.
Yeah,
but it's somebody sort of like, you know, dropped all the scenes and mixed them all up and put, you know, when they put them back together again. It's this sort of very elegiac kind of thing, you know, or you know, a simple plan or something like that. It's one of these cases where somebody finds something valuable, and it sets off this chain of like violent events. You know, it's like there's no way you're gonna keep hold of it.
That was the thing to me. It just seemed, why did it set off this chain of events? You know, all you know is it's a box with some coins in, and it just doesn't.
But yeah, you're absolutely right, because we got this prologue at the beginning, which seems to be set like in the Old West. You know, the guy riding a horse sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and he tracks down this guy who's stolen the box, kills him, takes the box home, and then it turns up on this guy's farm. You know, the other thing is, the reason he finds it is because his dog's been killed, and he's burying it in the backyard, and then he discovers the box in the hole. But what killed his dog? You know, it looks like it died a violent death. What killed it? We have no idea. No one bothers to ask the question. And then when he finds the box, he goes, better bury this again. So he buries it without burying the dog.
Yeah.
The whole point of burying them. Oh God.
Well, that's what, and then you get like halfway through that Bronwyn gets in a car, and she's looking through some like evidence envelopes or something. There's a note saying, "Oh, it's the same gun that killed your partner."
By the way,
which gun?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there's that many different guns, and it was like they took the script, filmed half of it, and just left half the rest of the scenes out, so it just didn't.
It feels like there was another film
together.
There's another film there that hasn't been made. Yeah.
It was just frustrating. It really frustrated me with it, and it just I couldn't gel with it at all. It was just annoying at the end. To be fair,
it is a bit annoying. I agree with the editing and the way, you know, you think you're done with something. I think, okay, they decided to skip over that bit, and then they go back to it. Oh, okay. And then you get this sort of ending, which is, you know, sort of pretty bleak. But again, it's still quite open-ended. No, he does sort of die.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because you don't spend any time getting to know the characters really, or the motivation. I didn't give a shit, to be fair. You know, it was just like, all right, yeah, okay, that's quite not a nice thing, but didn't care about him.
No, there's two things I did like. No, there's one thing I did like, one thing I didn't. One thing I did like, and it's pretty gruesome, is when they go to the guy's house and grab his wife. You know, they sort of slap her around a bit and then kill her, but it's all done off screen. But her screams are very vivid, and I thought, okay, you know, well done on that point, because you really sort of conveyed nastiness of the situation. The one thing I didn't like, and was Simon Phillips. He, as much as I do like him as an actor, he was not the right fit for this film at all, and the script didn't really do him justice either. So,
I don't think the script did, but
the grabbing.
Go on.
It's this whole bit where they grab this guy, put a bag over his head, and take him out into the woods, and they tell the new guy Joel he's got to kill him, and it's all this like, right, I'm going to count to 3. If you don't kill him, I'll kill you, and then I'll kill him. And it's like 1, 2, 2.5.
Yeah.
I mean it. I'm gonna kill you. Yeah. Oh God. It's that sort of level of ineptitude. It sort of takes away the fierceness of the characters. The fearfulness for them. It's like, oh, you're a bunch of bloody Three Stooges. It's just a shame because the rest of it is pretty damn nasty.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, I didn't think he was that bad in it. The script let him down.
Yeah.
But the script let him down, but he's okay. But like I say, he's the only one that he says anything. Nobody else speaks hardly.
Hardly. Yeah.
I mean, that main guy Wade, I can't remember him saying anything except when he throws her the gun and tells her what to do. That was kind of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting bit that as well because he's sort of mirroring what they said when he was in that situation.
Yeah,
I was sort of watching that bit as well. I'm thinking, well, if that was my wife, I'd be dead before you said 1 because it was like what? So it's either me and the baby or it's him. Like it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we often say like if I'm ever kidnapped and held for ransom, I might as well just tell them like no, just kill me now, mate. You're not getting a penny. she won't pay. She's too sensible. But yeah. Anyway, how are you going to score this one, mate?
I'll give it a 5.
I'm a bit better than you. I'm going to give it a 6. It's just short of a 7. This one, as I said, I did like it. I, really like the mood of it. But it shoots itself in the foot with its time jumping. And it really does feel like someone just sort of shuffled the scenes and put them in any old order a little bit, which is a shame. But yeah, it's a solid little film overall. So there you go, a 5 and a 6 for Cold Vengeance. It's also known as Ash and Dust, I believe. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Ash and Dust. But yeah, go check it out. Our next review is When the Screaming Starts. When Norman Graysmith is invited into the home of aspiring serial killer Aidan Mendel, he believes he has the subject for the documentary that will make his career. There have been various films like this, Steve. I mean, We Live in the Shadows is a perfect example of what this is going for. There was the what was it called now? The Leslie Vernon story. Have you seen that one? I can't remember what the actual title is.
Is it Behind the Mask?
Behind the Mask. That's
Behind the Mask or something. Yeah.
Yeah, which is the sort of a more successful serial killer being documented. Someone who's actually knows what he's doing. That was very good as well. I did like a lot of this. I think it's a bit too long for its own good. It's aiming for that sort of Office kind of humor, that sort of uncomfortable, sort of doltish, sort of lovable dolt kind of thing. What did you make of it?
I loved it. I really did. I really enjoyed this. I thought the humor was pitch black. And I don't know, it's kind of like just remind me like a Louis Theroux documentary type thing. You know what I mean?
Even the guy. I mean, the guy does look a bit like Louis Theroux, doesn't he? With a weird, with a bit of a wig on there.
But no, I thought it was hilarious. It really was. It was so dark and I mean, it starts off with the bit with the cat. And where he shoots it accidentally. It's going on. And it's one of them where it sounds like a person, you know, he keeps coming in my garden, he keeps doing this, that, and he's there, he's the cat.
Yeah,
I just aim
Richard, Richard the cat.
Richard the cat, actually, yeah. I aim my rifle at him, bang, oh shit, I've killed him. And, you know, he is just like a little bumbling idiot. You know, there's no way he's going to become a serial killer. You know that.
Yeah. And
when he, you know, starts trying to set up his like Manson type family and sends them out while he stays at home, and they're like, well, you know, why didn't you come? Why aren't you doing this? You're the one who set all this up. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and I thought the twist at the end was quite good as well.
Yes.
You know, taking it into like, is it man bites dog kind of territory, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've not seen it, but I don't know all about
Definitely
it.
Definitely
Yeah. But yeah, I just thought it was filmed really well. I like the characters as well. You know, a bit cliche, you know, your Cockney wide boy and your posh, stuck up apes of family, and you know the Norwegian twins or whatever they were. But I just found myself laughing all the way through.
It was very good. There's some very good sort of like very well timed sort of little gags and things going on. I thought it was very good.
The bit where they're filming the music video for his old band,
Cannibal Death March. Yes.
you just see the woman picking a dog shit up in the background.
See, the thing is, I've watched videos like that. You know, I've seen bands.
Oh yeah.
You know, having videos like that. It is really funny. Yeah, it is spot on. You know, sort of like this death metal band playing in the park, and you can see people walking their dogs and stuff in the background. You know, kids playing football. It just looks really, really funny. The two twins. I think that's a big nod to the Soska twins again.
Yeah, I thought so.
So Julie and Jennifer's Soska. Yeah, I think so. But they were really good. Catherine Bennett Fox, who played Julia, the redhead, thought she was superb. You know, really vampish, really sort of self-assured sort of character. I thought it worked really, really well. Overall, pretty damn good, this one. How are you going to score it?
I'll give it an 8.
I'm going to give it a 7 overall. So an 8 and a 7 for When the Screaming Starts. Go check it out. Our next review is Control. A woman called Eileen finds herself imprisoned in a strange cell and forced to complete a series of increasingly difficult tasks in order to save her young daughter. I wasn't entirely sure about this one when it kicked off, mainly because I wasn't entirely sure about Eileen as a character. Too much sort of like, oh, what am I doing here? Oh no, who are you? What do you want me to do? You know, so okay, fine, get a grip. You know, but having said that, it builds and builds really, really well. The set design is very good. The way the puzzles are set out. You know, the first one, you've got to move the pencil. Okay, stand up, just move the pencil. Next one, oh, you're now chained to the chair. Now try and move the pencil. You know, it's all this sort of stuff. I thought it was really good. And then when, you know, just as she's sort of getting a grip of what's going on, they throw in the husband, which I thought was very amusing, because clearly he's not there to help. Yeah, he's, you know, they didn't think, oh, he might be, you know, at first you're sort of thinking, oh, maybe he's going to be able to provide a sort of second pair of eyes and sort of, you know, but anything like that. But no, he's just an arsehole, basically. He's just there to sort of drag her down. I thought this worked really, really well overall. How about you?
Yeah, I did. It's, you know, basically cube in the same cube rather than moving about. And less gory deaths, I suppose. But it's one of them that actually holds the intrigue. You know, you're wondering, why is she in there? And she's basically told that if she fails, then her daughter's going to die. And then, you know, they knock her out in between, and she's getting these flashbacks to her on the beach with her daughter,
and
then the husband turns up, and he's a bit of a dick.
he starts gaslighting her straight away, isn't he?
Yeah,
Oh, this is impossible. This can't be what you say it is, and all this.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, it doesn't really explain what's actually going on, really. You get hints at the end and whatever. And I did like the ending as well, to be fair. I thought that was a decent twist.
Yeah.
I didn't really see that coming until, what happens. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's pretty simple, pretty, basic sets, whatever. Well, it's basically just one set, really, which we have been getting quite a lot of recently,
exactly.
But this uses it as an advantage rather than a disadvantage, and it works well. And I actually thought the effects were pretty good as well. Like when the guns building and
that was really good,
like that.
Yeah,
I thought it was done really, really well. And even the voiceover work of the actual computer or whatever was pretty decent as well. So all in all, yeah,
totally
decent.
agree with you.
Enjoyed this.
Yeah, enjoyed the soundtrack as well. For this one, it builds nicely in the right places. I thought that was done really well. A guy called James Findlay, he's responsible.
Yeah,
and did a good job. Cinematography, the lighting, the color design, does a really good job of giving the whole thing a bit of polish, even though, the film, as you said, is mainly set within that cell. We do go outside of it for the sort of the last 10 minutes or so, but mostly we're literally just in this one room, and they keep it interesting all the way through. Your interest isn't sort of flagging at all. I did have one kind of niggle towards the end, because it seems that the powers that be don't have any proper contingency in place for when things go wrong. It's just like sending wave after wave of soldiers to die, basically.
Yeah,
but yes, you're right. I know what you're going to say, because it does answer that question, because you think, well, why on earth would they? There is an answer hidden away in there. It's very quick, and at first I wasn't sure, but I understood what it was happening. So this is it's one of those nice, very very tightly contained sort of sci-fi movies. We've seen a few, but this works really well. And it's directed by a guy called James Mark, and I've been looking at his filmography, and there's a couple of films in there. There's one called On the Ropes, which I really want to see. It's about these two Indian brothers who are like part of a crime family, and it does look really good. And another one which I'm aware of but I haven't seen, called Kill Order, which about this kid who sort of like finds out he's got like mutant powers and stuff. So a very interesting sort of filmography this guy's sort of got. But definitely. Okay, how are you going to score this one?
I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, definitely a 7. 2 7s for Control. This is definitely worth checking out. Our final main review is Witness Infection. 2 rival mob families are transferred from the Witness Protection Agency by mistake to the same city, Temecula, California. As young Carlo is sucked into a crazy situation to conjoin the 2 rival families, an outbreak of tainted sausage meat turns the small town into pustulant, flesh-eating zombies. I'm the only person who's seen this one this week, and I really enjoyed it. It starts off with these 2 guys out hunting, and something happens to them, but basically this tainted meat gets into the food chain. This local sausage maker who's supplying all the Italian families with this tainted meat, and it sets things off. But it takes a long time for that plot point to actually develop after that initial prologue. what we get for like a good sort of 20-30 minutes is this sort of it's almost like a farce. You know the film Oscar with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
a
aware
bit
of
like
it.
it's kind of like that, where you got Carlo. You know, these two mob families been relocated to the same crappy town, and Carlo is the younger son of one of the families, and he's working in a dog grooming place with it, and you know he's got the hots for the one of his workmates who's also attracted to him, but he's told by his dad that he's got to marry his older brother's fiance, who belongs to this other crime family, and he's got to do it this weekend, and he's got to get her pregnant because apparently because his older brother is a bit of a steroid nut, and the steroids have left him sterile, basically. So he's firing blanks. So you know, in order to appease his other family, he's got to do this, and he obviously doesn't want to, but he's kind of forced into it. He goes on this road trip with his you know, erstwhile girlfriend and his brother. Is it brother or cousin? Yeah, his cousin. To go to this other family's house. In the meantime, everyone's getting affected by this rotten meat or whatever, and turning to sort of these zombies. So the second half of the film is this sort of you know, this kind of zomcom where they're sort of going from place to place and getting into hijinks. You know, it works really well, I have to say. There's some good sort of in jokes, a lot of references to other films. You know, even things like the Indiana Jones trilogy gets a mention because I think the cousin's a bit of a film nut. There's a brilliant role for this. I can't remember the name of the actress, but she looks like a young Pam Grier, and she's sort of adamant that she's not going to be the one black guy, you know, the one black person who's going to die in a zombie movie, basically. Yeah,
Is it Rose?
Yeah, Rose. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's really good, and he kind of expecting her to die as a result. You know, thinking, oh, how ironic, you know. But she's really good in her scene. Yeah, it's a fun movie. It does get pretty, you know, if you're not into sort of gory stuff and pus and things like this, it gets a bit. But I can see this being a really good Friday night after the pub sort of beer and pizza movie. You know, yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. I really did enjoy this. As I said, you know, the zombie stuff takes a while to get going because you just got these brilliant conversations with this family. Just really funny. This is I think it's his sister-in-law just spouting off because this aerobics instructor looked at her husband or something, and just these expletives just coming out of her mouth about it. It's just really, really funny. So yeah, Witness Infection. I really enjoyed it. I think it's worth checking out, especially with a few beers and pizzas with your mates. If you liked Zombievers, this is the kind of thing it's going for. I think, you know, that sort of level. So there you go. That's Witness Infection, and I'm going to score it 7 out of 10. Our short shot this week is No Disintegrations. In case you didn't realize, this is a Star Wars fan film. The title obviously refers to a line that Vader tells to the bounty hunters, in particular Boba Fett, in the middle of Empire Strikes Back when he's sending them off to look for Han Solo. And the film follows Boba Fett and two other bounty hunters, Dengar and Bosk, as they meet in this bar, and sort of Boba Fett sort of fills in what happened back on Coruscant when he did have to disintegrate these 3 rebel spies, and we get a decent little sort of fight scene there, and then it's sort of like it sort of cuts back, and it turns out to be just setting us up for a bigger adventure, which obviously hasn't been filmed yet, which is a bit of a shame because I did like this a lot. I think some of the dialogue needed a bit tightening up, but I think production wise this looked really good. I loved the, you know, the bar and the characters that were coming in. There's definitely huge nods to the Mos Eisley Saloon, but it's its own thing, and there's its own different sort of interactions and things going on. I really like the barman, just so that somebody comes in and goes, "Hey, there he is, yeah, I'll get you a drink," and all this sort of stuff. It just made it feel like a real place, which I really enjoyed. How do you like this one, mate?
Yeah, I thought it was great. The makeup and the costumes, spot on.
Very good.
Really, really, really good. I'd say the only thing that got it up, a bit of the dialogue was a little bit rough, but I just thought some of the action was a little bit amateurish. It's not.
Yeah, I think it's maybe just a bit sort of tighter editing, really. Just sort of that's probably what it really needed.
Probably, yeah. But apart from that, I thought it was great. I mean, I was so surprised with, like I said, the costumes, the makeup. Even the Vader costume, it looked like he just walked off the set of Rogue One.
Oh no, and the guy who did the voice for it as well.
Yeah.
And Andrew Nollenberg, thought he did a really good job of conveying sort of Vader's voice. Yeah, I thought that worked really well.
Even the guy playing Boba Fett, thought he was great. Very impressive. It looked almost professional, if you know what I mean.
No, absolutely.
Rather than the fan film. But no, I really enjoyed it. It was. I was shocked at how well made it was in a way.
There was
sometimes the fan films. I mean, they don't look great, but the story's good. You remember like the Star Trek one we watched a while back?
Oh, the Polish one.
I think it was.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It was like a full film, but
Yeah.
It was all in Polish or Romanian or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the effects were terrible, but the story was actually pretty damn good. And
oh no, that was different. Yeah, that was a different one. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did as well. I thought, especially the guy playing Boba Fett. There's a really good bit when Bosk turns up. I think it's Bosk. No, Dengar. Sorry, the one with the sort of towel wrapped around his head. And he turns up on Coruscant and goes, where are the the rebels? And he sort of Boba Fett, he just gives the most imperceptible nod to the he just tilts his head ever so slightly, going that there. It was just so well done, very just so precise.
Yeah.
Which I thought was superb. Yeah, no, I thought this worked really well. I love Boba Fett's gadgets, the way he sort of takes apart those, the rebel soldiers and things. I thought it worked really well. Yeah, roll on the next bit. Basically, we want to see more from these guys. Absolutely. Directed by a guy called Roman Santa Cruz. I'm ruining your name. Sorry about that, mate. But he's worked on things like Doom Patrol, Den of Thieves, Stranger Things. In various roles. He's got a very impressive resume on IMDb. This is great. Give us the next bit, please. I want to see more of these guys. We don't score the shorts, but we do recommend you check them out, and you will find a link to this in the footnotes below. Go check it out. Our DTV throwback this week is The Numbers Station. A disgraced Black Ops agent is dispatched to a remote CIA broadcast station to protect a code operator. Soon they find themselves in a life or death struggle to stop a deadly plot before it's too late. I really like this film, Steve. I'm a big fan of early John Cusack. When he was doing films like One Crazy Summer, The Sure Thing, Say Anything. Yeah, exactly, all that good stuff. Then he went all conservative, and it's like, okay, you're a bit of a bore, basically. But I thought this was very solid. It's not a mega budget film, but I think it uses its locations really well. Got a good cast with Malin Ackerman and Liam Cunningham as his boss. And the whole thing about number stations, I mean, they are a real thing. I mean, you know, this film comes up with its own interpretation of what they are, but you know, the general consensus is that no one really knows what the number stations are for, but they do exist, and you can sort of track them down on various shortwave radio and all this sort of stuff. There's still various ones, you know, broadcasting on specific times. Just spouting the same stuff over and over again, which is all very strange. So you know, it is an intriguing sort of premise that they sort of hook into. How do you make this one?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, you're right with what you say about the number station, and when it started, I thought, well, okay, what are they going to do with it? And I thought it worked really well. You know, the way their explanation for it does work well. And I like the fact that it didn't try and go too bombastic, if you know what I mean. The ending, okay, you get like one explosion and that's it really, but even after that you've still got a little bit more, you know, in the car. And again, it doesn't go too overboard. It's nice and realistic in a way, you know. It's not too, it's not like, you know, A Good Day to Die Hard where it's just John McClane becomes Superman and kills everyone going. It's just nice, simple, and I thought Malin Ackerman was good. Liam Cunningham, I think he steals it, me. You know, I think I like him anyway, but in this, he's just no nonsense, no bullshit, bang, 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 sort it, done. You know, and it works really well.
It elevates it, doesn't it? You know, having someone like that in there, it sort of almost sort of legitimizes it a bit. It's like, oh, you know, where that level of acting is very good.
And you know, the first bit where he gets disgraced, you know, it's quite kind of harrowing in a way, you know.
Yeah, definitely. It's also interesting with his character is, you know, because he's sort of living in the grey so much. You're not fully sure which way he's going to go, because you know, his ulterior motive is to protect the code, and if that means killing her, that's job done sort of thing. You know, so you know, you kind of on the edge of your seat, so wondering.
And there's that like not dream sequence, but you know, where he does.
Yeah, exactly. It's like well, what if I did this? You know, exactly. Yeah.
And it, you know, that kind of keeps you guessing, you know, even more as it goes on through the film. But yeah, it's nice. I mean, I don't. Was it actually shot in England? Because
it looks it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It looks at you know, that sort of base that they're filming on with the sort of bunkers covered over in grass and that. Yeah, it does look sort of very familiar. Yeah, actually, it kind of reminds me of One Shot. In you know, if you imagine it was set outside instead of in the bunker, you know, it's sort of quite similar to that.
It actually was. It was filmed in Suffolk.
All right. This is directed by a guy called Casper Barford. He's Danish. Decent sort of looking sort of filmography. He's been involved in quite a few bits. The thing that sort of stands out for me is he was involved in a TV series called Dicta, which I really liked. It's a Danish series about a female reporter, sort of an investigative reporter. There was a really good series. I think it only lasted three seasons. It was on Channel 4 for a while, but it is very good. So
no, I've never seen that. No.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. So yeah, this is solid stuff. You know, it's a breath of fresh air after some of the dross we have watched recently. Bruce Willis. You know, it's nice to see something sort of filmed properly with actual moving cameras and, you know, sort of a bit of fluidity to it. So yeah, this is definitely worth. Oh, he did some of the Chestnut Man as well, which is interesting. Did you see that one?
No.
That's on Netflix. That was a good one. Yeah. Okay. So I digress. But yeah, this is definitely worth checking out. It's on Amazon Prime, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, on Amazon.
Yeah, it was.
Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't already seen it. And that is the end of this week's show. So thanks to Rich and Steve for joining me. We did have some really good films this week to talk about. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter at the DTV Digest. Also our Short Shots Twitter page and sister podcast, where Rich and I take a look at the latest bunch of short films. Other than that, thank you for listening. Tune in next time.
Thank you for listening to the DTV Digest. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and tune in again next time.